wanted to actually give a lesson today. I know that's normally not the format that we go off of here, but I've been doing a lot of research, and a lot of people have asked me, why American Entrepreneur? You know, what is that about? I mean, I think entrepreneur means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and I think that's where some of that confusion may have been. And for others, they have different lights of it. For me, it's always been a special word for me because, you know, I feel like I've been an entrepreneur. I feel like even from a very young age, I had a lot of entrepreneurial type of traits, and it's really helped me, and it's been a title that I've really embraced. Now, other people have different views of it. So, I put together a list of 9 traits of an entrepreneur. And I took these from a couple of different videos. John Maxwell is someone I've been really researching. I read a couple of books, and I did some Google searching and some history on entrepreneurship, or the title of an entrepreneur. So, getting started here, the term entrepreneur was really founded around the 1800s by a French economist by the name of Jean-Baptiste Say. Okay? And he said an entrepreneur is a person that has the ability to take something of low productivity and turn it into something of high productivity. Okay? And that's when it was really first started. Okay? So a little bit of context there. One of the first traits of an entrepreneur, I think probably the most important, is an entrepreneur is a visualizer and a actualizer. What does that mean, right? A visualizer is a person that's able to see opportunity. Okay? An actualizer is a person that can act on opportunity. Okay? Now, being an entrepreneur means you have to do both quickly. Okay? Because everybody can see it eventually. Like, right, if you had a chance to say, hey, how about I invest in some Bitcoin? Okay. It's already seen. You know what I mean? They got in early on that deal. Okay? The entrepreneurs got in early on the Bitcoin thing. So they saw it early, and then they seized that opportunity early. Okay? Entrepreneurs are self-starters. Okay? They see more than others see. They have a tendency to win first over fast. Okay? And they put into practice, they're self-motivators, and they have a sense of urgency. Okay, this is the first trait of an entrepreneur. Okay, so visualizers and actualizers. Okay, one of the second traits of an entrepreneur is they work like an ant. Okay, anybody see an ant, the way an ant works, right? I mean, they work hard. As a matter of fact, in Proverbs, it even says, work like an ant. An ant gathers food in the winter, and he works pretty much all year long, and he lifts things that are like 3 times heavier. And so an entrepreneur works like an ant, and they give up their 8-hour job so they can work a 16-hour job, but it's theirs, okay? And how many of us have seen that, right? I mean, it's a lot easier. There's a lot of jobs out there, a lot easier than owning your own business. Let's be honest, right? So who would give up an 8-hour job so they can work a 16-hour job and make less money? That's an entrepreneur, right? The reason an entrepreneur does that is because of the freedom that they get from that venture, okay? And that is a passion of an entrepreneur, okay? So that leads us to the third trait, is entrepreneurs love what they do. And that's why they're willing to work double, triple than the average person, is because they love what they do. They love the freedom that comes with being an entrepreneur. And so a little bit of context here. Has anybody been crab gathering before? Has anybody caught crabs? Like, you know, blue crabs. You have?
You're talking about fishing? Oh,
We're talking about fishing, yes.
That
was weird.
I was like, what? Oh.
So, okay, so the way that, and Yolanda,
No, I haven't. Both.
One of the best experiences that Jason and I ever had as kids is we went to Padre Island one time, and we went out there, and somebody was dropping the little nets down to catch crabs. And oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I mean, we went there, and we were pulling up the thing, and oh, there's 5 crabs, you know. And later on in life, I took my kids about a year ago to Padre Island. We did the same thing. I went to the store, and I bought a bunch of crab catchers, and we put a little chicken wing on them and dropped them all in there. And I can't tell you, it was one of the best times we ever had. Well, one of the interesting about crabs is when you have one crab caught in a bucket, you have to be very careful because that crab will climb out of the bucket. But once you have more than one crab, you don't have to worry about it. Why? Because crabs, when there's more than one of them in there, when one of them tries to climb out, the other one goes and pulls them back down. It is like one of the weirdest things of nature. Once you get 2 or more crabs, you don't have to worry about them because none of them are getting out. They just pull each other back down. And it's so funny because when I was reading that, I was like, wow, look at the crabs that are pulling each other down. They must be real estate agents. You know what I mean? They have a way of like not letting each other get going. You know what I mean? Are these crabs or are they real estate agents? And I think when you hear a lot of terms as man, you're working too hard, or when are you gonna slow down a little bit, or when are you gonna retire? How much money do you want to make? I mean, money's not the most important thing, and it's certainly not. But usually those people are those crabs trying to pull you back down. They see your success. They see you moving forward. They see you having success. And they're that crab to say, hey, where are you going? Come back down here. Average people want you to be average too. Okay? Average people aren't entrepreneurs. First thing. Average people want more average. Okay? And so, just like the crabs, the minute that you start to climb, they grab you right by that claw and pull you right back down. Okay? So that's one of the things that I remember from my childhood. And one of the funnest things, if you haven't gone crab catching, you've got to check it out. It is so, so much fun. The fourth thing is entrepreneurs have a strong desire to win. And they're not good losers. And I've always had this in me. I mean, even from the time we were playing video games as kids, I threw a big old fit anytime I lost. But one of the things that really shone out to me, many of you know my soccer games, right? And some of you may have remembered, about 2 seasons ago, we did so well in the over 30 league, all the old guys, that they moved us down to Division 1 to play with the young guys. And I remember I shared that with some of you, and I was all worried. We lost every game that season. But what's interesting is I remember that first game where we were playing a Division 1 team, and these guys were fast and good and young. And the guy that I was matched up against, I mean, there was no way. I wasn't going to be able to keep up with him, right? So, we start playing, we're getting in there, we're running around, and I can tell one of the guys, the guy that I'm guarding, he starts running past me. And so, I trip him. I'll literally knock it, I trip him, you know what I mean?
Old man tricks.
And I get caught. Old man tricks, right. Exactly right. Why? Because, in soccer, you're allowed about 3, fouls. Basketball, you're allowed 5 or 6.
As long as they're not malicious.
As long as you're not malicious. And trust me, I made it look like an accident. Okay. But I
Did you
tripped
get
him.
carded?
I did get a warning. I get a warning.
Okay.
But here it is. He's going by me. He's faster. What else am I going to do, right? I'm going to trip him. I'm going to use everything in my arsenal. I've got 3 warnings. So I'm going to trip him, And then he got that ball. And then he started to get angry. Now he's starting to get really upset. And there's another time where basically I use my weight, to bump him out of the way, I get another warning, you know what I mean? I'm using whatever tool in my arsenal I have, because I want to win. So finally he's really upset, he comes up to me, he's like, hey man, what's the deal? He's like, it's just a game. I said, well then let me win.
Yeah, exactly. Good response.
That's the truth. If it's just a game, then let me win.
Yeah,
Entrepreneurs.
That was pretty weak on his part.
Entrepreneurs love to win. Okay? And they use everything in their arsenal to win. They hate losing. Never have I ever seen, good morning, honey. Never have I seen an entrepreneur that loves to lose. And can I say something real quick? There is something wrong in our culture when we give a trophy to every kid.
Yep.
Okay? There is nothing more wrong with that. And I fight that all the time. As a matter of fact, if one of my sons brings a trophy they didn't earn, I don't do it in a mean, terrible way, but I remove it. Because it is not something that we are going to celebrate. You have to earn it. Okay? So something's wrong in going in our culture where we just celebrate everyone for playing. Okay?
And it's rampant too. It's rampant in school, it's rampant everywhere.
Right.
So,
and what is it doing? It is diminishing.
breeding mediocrity. It's breeding mediocrity.
Thank you.
And some of the younger kids, they don't even let the parents keep score because they don't want to know who won.
That's messed up.
It's terrible. Entrepreneurs always keep score. And one quick story on that too. I never knew it when I was growing up, but my dad, he was not great at a lot of things, but he was great at some things, and he was an entrepreneur. And so many of you know, in my adult life, my dad got me into golf. And I've shared this with Larry and some of the other people that I played with. But I'd be playing golf. He was a lot better than me. And right at the end of the hole, he would say, "So what'd you score?" And I said, "Oh, birdie, par." He's like, "No, you didn't. Son, you're not cheating me. You're cheating yourself," is what he would say. And that's the truth, And he understood something very early, is if you don't keep score, if you're celebrating everything, just participation, you're not going to make any progress. So entrepreneurs love to keep score, and they're always about keeping score. And hopefully when we play golf in a couple days, Larry, we can improve that score because we're going to have some steep competition in that. Okay, so the fifth trait I have is actually a bad trait. Actually, this is one of the traits that I think a lot of entrepreneurs have to get wisdom in their lives to move past, okay? And that is entrepreneurs almost never follow and seldom lead, okay? Leading means patience. Leading and following is much easier to do for a lot of people. And entrepreneurs don't look for that easy road. So entrepreneurs can make very bad employees. And so until they get that wisdom in their lives, it's hard for them to ever be good at something. So this weekend, I was at the Cheesecake Factory with my family, and I was sitting there and I was remembering, because I opened that Cheesecake Factory. I was a waiter there back in 2002. That's actually where I met the mother of my children. And I was a terrible employee. I've told many of you this. I've never held a job for more than 6 months when I was an employee. Literally. I would get fired. I would quit. I would not show up. I was the worst employee, period. Well, I remember that particular time, we were just opening up. So I had all the corporate bigwigs there. All the corporate, high people, president, etc. And they were coaching us and training us to be the initial wait staff for that location. And I had showed up late, my shirt tail untucked and my unironed. And one of the older guys, Donnie, I'll never forget Donnie. He was a tall, imposing man. Come on in, Gary.
Hello.
Come on in and have a seat back there, my friend.
Hello.
Donnie was a tall, much older gentleman. Okay, he's probably about 6'4", and probably about maybe 2 or 3 times older than me. Took it upon himself to straighten this young kid out, and so he pulled me aside, thankfully. And I never forget, because my parents and my kids and I were sitting there waiting at the spot that he had taken me. And he caught me in a corner and he started pointing his finger at me and he started saying, "Look, you need to do this and you need to do that and you need to do this." I'll never forget, I didn't hear a word that he said. All I saw was this guy's putting his finger in my face and he's disrespectful. And I looked him right in the eyes and I said, "Donnie, if you point your finger at me again, I'm going to break it." Okay? You should have seen his reaction. I mean, he backed off. I mean, he was, "Oh, I'm sorry, Carl. I was very disrespectful to you." And from that point forward, for the 3 more months that I was employed by that company, he was the nicest guy to me. Every time he saw me, "Carl, how you doing? Good to see you, buddy," And so at the time, it was empowering, but it was good because I got to sit with my mom and really learn from that, because I didn't have any wisdom back then. Okay? I was a 20-year-old kid with no wisdom. And if I'd have been able to really see what that man was doing for me, all I saw was the finger pointing at me. If I was able to really see what he was doing for me, I could have grown from that. But I didn't. I continued to be in that. So that's the bad trait, okay? Entrepreneurs make terrible employees. And most of the time, until they gain that wisdom in their lives, it's very hard for them to work collectively on a team, okay? The sixth trait. Entrepreneurs like problems, okay? They look for problems, okay? An entrepreneur is always on the lookout for problems. They always look to learn from problems, and they look to grow from problems. And that's so counterintuitive to society. Society says, "Oh, minimize your problems. Don't have problems. The great life is the guy with no problems," right? And I love it because I was listening to a John Maxwell sermon, and he said, every miracle in the Bible, everyone, without exception, started with a problem. And many times it was a big problem, So if you have a problem, that means you are a candidate for a miracle, okay? And so some of these people, he would say, he'd come across, "Oh, I have no problems. I had no problems." So he'd say, "Well, you know what, let's pray for you. Lord, please give them some problems," So you can be a candidate for a miracle, okay? So it's very counterintuitive. People think, I need to have no problems in life. if I have no problems, then I'll be living a good life. That's actually the opposite is true. If you have no problems, then that's your biggest problem. Okay? So the sixth trait is they want to prove something to themselves. You know, they kind of look for proving themselves. Okay? They have a true sense of confidence once they've proven to themselves that they can do something. Okay? That's where that confidence comes. And so, we played a lot of golf in my years, and I kind of come back to that always because I've never been a very confident golfer. I mean, I'm just terrible. I mean, Juan knows, Larry knows, Jason knows.
That's not true.
I'm a little bit better than I lead on, but it is a game that you cannot do well, in my opinion. I don't think there's any real natural golfer. I think only the good people are the ones that practice constantly. And what have we seen recently? We've seen Tiger Woods, who, you know, went from this great career in golf, and then he disappeared for a while. Now he's coming back, you know. And really, one of the cool things, I ran into this young man at my church group that had actually gone to the tournament that Tiger recently won in Virginia. And I was like, man, tell me about it. What happened? Was it the great? He's like, it was amazing. He's like, I stayed there all the way to the end. He said, but what was most amazing is after Tiger got done with the interviews and he got done with all the crowds and everybody left and went home and had a great time, I was still there and I was watching him.
Back to the driving range.
He went back out there and started practicing some more. And I just get goosebumps thinking about that. Confidence comes with relentless practice. Entrepreneurs understand that fact. Okay? 3 more to go. 7, entrepreneurs press on in spite of difficulties. They don't give up. They continue to show up. When they're sick, when they're not feeling well, when they're going through problems, issues, relationships, etc., they continue to show up. Okay, this is an area that I've had to work on personally because something that I got early on in childhood is when things don't go well, let me just disappear, you know? And so I've got to hold myself accountable there. Okay, I've got to grow there too, right? I'm not perfect, but entrepreneurs show up, okay? No matter how they feel, no matter what they're going through in life, they continue to show up and they continue to get better, okay? Number 8, entrepreneurs value opportunity more than security, okay? What does that mean? That means we don't look at what is safe, what is easy, what is accessible, what is provided for us. We look for opportunity, right? And think about all the things we've been going through. It would have been safer to stay with Remax, honestly. That would have been the safe road, you know? That would have been the secure road. All my friends are with Remax still, all my buddies, you know? But I saw an opportunity. And entrepreneurs, it's not like they're fearless. It's not like they don't have fear. And we've been talking about fear a little bit. Fear exists. But one of the greatest traits of an entrepreneur is that they have courage to act in the face of fears, okay? They still have fears, and sometimes they are more fearful than most people think they are. Oh, this guy never has fears. No, they're there. But it's the courage to act in spite of fears, which is what makes an entrepreneur, okay? And the final trait of an entrepreneur is they have the ability to stay creative when others quit. Okay? So, you are saying that, so it was so funny, when I first started with Zach, I've always had this trait, this kind of never give up trait. You know, it's actually, been something that's carried with me for a while. And I never forget when Zach and I were talking, and he said, we were door knocking back then. It was old school, knocking on doors. And we came to this one door where the guy was like, just staunchly just didn't want us there, and Zach was my coach, my mentor. We were doing this together, right? And we sit there and we start talking, and the guy says, look, I don't want you guys here. There's not 1 in a million chance that you're going to list my home. And then I'll never forget, without skipping a beat, I said, so you mean there's a chance? You know what I mean? And my mentor's like right there. He's like, he laughed just like that. He just started cracking up. You know what I mean? And literally, we got that opportunity because this guy respected that. You know what I mean? It's like there's a 1 in a million chance. So you're saying there's a chance. And I remember that from early on. It was an incredible boost to my confidence because I was like, yeah, you know? And my mentor was right there, like just, you know, cracking up and just kind of, and just talking it up, you know? And so the point of that is, throughout life, people are going to tell you that things are impossible. You just have to give up. A lot of other people are going to place these like, oh, there's no chance. There's 1,000,000 to 1 chance. There's a bazillion to 1 chance. Trust me, you can make your own reality. And that is one of the greatest things about the entrepreneur.